Well, greetings, everybody. As always, I kind of stall when we start out these things to let people come into the live stream. See over here on Float, we've got 5 people already. And I'll take a look at Odyssey. And I have to refresh Odyssey to see anything going on there. But it's been interesting to see the Float and Odyssey numbers coming up and actually beginning to start somewhat competing with the YouTube numbers, which makes me very happy. Anyway, it's all stalling. It's all stalling to get people on board before we start the actual segment today. What we're going to talk about today is Bitcoin. And we're going to talk about a confluence of things all happening at the same time. And all those things happening in spite of a lot of FUD and negative things that happened over the past couple months, and how little effect those negative things really had if you look at Bitcoin's performance over, let's say, the past year even, let alone the past 2 years. And I'm just going to say, I think by the time this episode's over, if you are still a Bitcoin holdout, I don't even know why you bother watching my videos when I talk about cryptocurrency. You should probably, if you're just going to continue to stay on the sidelines. Now, let me mitigate that. People that don't have money shouldn't be throwing lots of money into anything. So I don't mean if you're strapped for money. I'm saying if you're a holdout because you think it's all going to go to zero or some shit, you're just, like I said, you're going to find out how denial of reality that you are today if you have anything approaching an open mind. With that, let's go ahead and get started with today's episode and get the recorder going for the podcast edition over here. Testing. Okay, so we won't have that mistake again. Well, hi, folks. Welcome to Miyagi Mornings, episode 145. I kind of threatened that this would happen, and now it's happening. An episode this week on Bitcoin that's really going to focus on why I say, and I am not alone in this, that we are about to enter a Bitcoin super cycle. And I'm going to say that I think we're going to go well over the target of fair value. And fair value can go up and will go up in this cycle. But right now, fair value is probably somewhere between 52 and 54,000. So when Bitcoin's trading at 38,000 with a fair market value of about 52 to 54, it's still in a pushed down state. It still represents a buying opportunity. Where do I get that number? Gentlemen, I mentioned yesterday when I hinted that this episode would be coming, Willie Woo. I trust Willie's analysis of on-chain analytics better than just about anybody in the business. And that's the number he puts on it, and I think that's a pretty fair number right now. Now, what I'm saying is, as you hear all the things that are going on right now, as we approach that number, it's not that that number can't go up, and it's not that that number can't come back down. That's just where I believe that it is right now. I want to start out with like the most negative thing you can really come up with right now, and it's not potentially inside an infrastructure bill. There might be a thing that says that somebody's a broker. Government's going to do what it's going to do. Honestly, the most negative thing you can say right now is the holdup on releasing an approval for a Bitcoin, Ethereum, some sort of crypto ETF. And that all comes down to one dude, Gary Gensler. And I have a ton of links in the notes for today, so you can check all this stuff out. Gensler's basically saying, well, you know, what we need is more protections for investors before we do that. It's a stall tactic, and it's bullshit, and it doesn't hold any water up against any other investment that's already approved for people to invest in publicly. So you can right now go open up an account with, you know, E-Trade or Robinhood or whatever. You can leverage up money right out of the gate, you know, and you can completely lose your ass. There is no investor safeguard that prevents you from losing, nor should there be, but there isn't. So what the hell kind of investor safeguard could you possibly have for Bitcoin that's lacking? Is Bitcoin's blockchain not more transparent than GE or Exxon's accounting right now? Don't you have like millions of people all over the world that can instantly audit the blockchain and tell you if it's doing what it's supposed to be doing right now? In fact, the most lacking piece of safeguard for Bitcoin is that if you're an idiot, you can lose your Bitcoin. So if you were to actually approve something like an ETF, you would create a safeguard that is the only safeguard that doesn't exist right now, which is by having this public form of account, you would have a company that literally must prove that it's holding the Bitcoin that it says it's holding. Because the only investor safeguard you can have with any asset that can go up and down in value. And this whole shit about volatility is nonsense. You know what else is volatile? The stock market. You know what else is volatile? Oil. Do you know what else is volatile? Natural gas. Do you know what else is volatile? Oranges. Do you know what else is volatile? Pork bellies. I mean, tell me something people invest in that lacks volatility. Even bonds have volatility. This is stupid. So none of these investments come with or are ever going to come with FDIC insurance or anything like that. So the only safeguard you could actually put in place would be, hey, if you want to buy Bitcoin and you buy it here, you can't lose your Bitcoin. That would be what an ETF would do. So my opinion is, and I think there's a tremendous amount of evidence for this, that there are a lot of very wealthy people who are late to the game on Bitcoin. And they are looking and doing all they can to get their grubby little hands on as much Bitcoin as they can get their hands on. And unlike a lot of other places where they can just go out and buy as much as they want, doesn't work that way here. A lot of that money is institutional, and thereby it is held up, and they're being prevented from buying it. That's what ETFs would do, but ETFs wouldn't do it for, the private investment firms and stuff like that already can do it in the United States. That would be public funds, which doesn't really help the institution as much as it helps the individual. So we can stall that. And I believe that is absolutely what's going on here. On the other side, we have massive buckets of institutional money having just been opened. And 2.1 trillion is a little bit of money. 2.1 trillion US dollar value. That's 1.8 trillion in euros. Just in the country of Germany was opened up and allowed to invest in cryptocurrencies. And primarily this will be Bitcoin and Ethereum yesterday on my birthday. That was a birthday present I got. Germany said, yeah, you guys can invest in this. And I've got pushback from that. It says, that doesn't mean they're gonna. Okay, are you high? Do you think that a government like the German parliament moves to do a thing like this without impetus? They're just like, hey, you know what? Maybe they want to, maybe they don't. Who knows? Maybe we should just be nice and allow it. Or do you think the way a decision that's momentous gets done is this sort of lobbyists from the entities that it affects saying, hey, we want to do this? If you get 1% of that money into a market state that we're in right now, which is where we're going into high illiquidity. And illiquidity always sounds bad because generally when people say something's illiquid, it means that you can't sell it. And so it means that there's not a market for it. So that sounds like it's negative if you're holding the asset. The type of illiquidity that Bitcoin is being experienced right now is you can't buy it because people don't want to sell it. And there's plenty of people selling and there's lots of trading. There's, billions and billions of dollars a day, but there's a pinch point. And we're definitely hitting that. Again, I have links and sources for all this. On top of this, everybody talks about the whales, man. It's the whales, It's the whales. It's all about the whales. The whales are losing their dominance. And this is also huge. Like, it does matter that this institutional money comes in and stuff like that. But what institutional money can do, if that institutional money is an amalgamation of a lot of people that are like holding retirement accounts and stuff like that, they're teachers and what have you, it can create the illusion of a false whale. Because, Joe Blow's mutual fund is not, Joe Blow doesn't own all the stocks held in that mutual fund. All the people that Joe Blow manages the money for do. So you end up with this very broad group of people that actually own and make their own individual holding and buying decisions. And all of this combined together when they do on-chain analysis, again, my source on the number I gave you yesterday was Willie Woo, and he said there's anywhere between 40 and 50,000 new individual Bitcoin users net per day coming into the field and now owning and holding some Bitcoin. Well, I have a source article for you in the notes here, and right now they just did an estimate of what was yesterday. And almost like Willie knows what he's doing, it was over 54,000 new individuals came into the Bitcoin ecosystem yesterday. Let's say that again, 54,000. So now what you're getting is you're getting this really weird time in history where you're having this explosive growth of what they call retail investors. And the affluency level of retail investors continues to rise. You know, we're not talking about people that come in and like, man, I'm investing in Bitcoin, I'm investing, and they say that for like 3 years. And no disrespect or anything, but after 3 years, you're like, well, how many Bitcoins do you have? And they're like, you got a quarter of one, man. The new people coming into this are starting to be the people that come in and like buy a Bitcoin, you know, or they dump 25 grand in. Or, you know, they start doing a DCA buy-in of $200, $300, $500 a month, and they sustainably do this. And that seems like a small drop in the bucket until you start multiplying it by factors like 40 and 50,000, and you start realizing that from August 1st through the end of 2021, if we pare it down to 40,000, we're talking 6 million new users. And so you get into this position where this mythology around the whales begins to ebb, is you get more and more dispersion of the available supply. And the whales are the people that are like, you know what? I made 100% this year. I'm cashing some of that shit in. The smaller holders are the ones like, I'm buying this shit for the next, 10, 15, 30 years. They don't sell. They pull more and more supply off the market, and no matter what you say, and some of you people are still on your bullshit about you can cut and paste it, it's vaporware. It doesn't work that way. I don't have time to explain it to you yet again because you don't want to understand it. There's 21 million units, and every about 3 years we have a halving, and we're getting to a point where the halvings are going to stop mattering because there's not enough new production to account for the demand. That's why we have an illiquid situation. It's kind of a backwards of liquidity. Instead of not being able to sell it, you can't buy it without paying an accelerated price against what you would have looked at just a few weeks ago. We're at a point now. We still have volatility. It can go up and down. I'm not saying it won't. What I'm saying is you've reached a point, and when you look at the totality of what's happening, you've reached a point that any small pressure, the smallest of pressures on buying, pushes price up. Small pressures that a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, there's always been this big kind of upswing, downswing with news and rumors. But what I'm saying is when you actually have like just some more people want to buy it, it's immediately forcing it up. And there's also some good news in some of the FUD. So Elon Musk came out and said, I don't really know about this because environment. What changed about Bitcoin's impact on the environment between the time Elon Musk bought Bitcoin for Tesla and the time Elon Musk said he's worried about the environment? What changed? And the answer is absolutely the square root of fuck all nothing. And he did not know how Bitcoin worked when he spent over $1 billion worth of Tesla's money on it. It's all FUD. It's all nonsense. China banned Bitcoin. Again. But for real this time. Good. You know what I would prefer out of China? Let's just have China ban Bitcoin completely. Anybody that gets caught with a Bitcoin in China gets thrown off of a building or something like that. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. Because it doesn't actually effing matter. It's not important. It doesn't matter. We pushed hashes down to about 88 equihashes a day or something like that, which was like a low for, in a given time. They came right back up because all that happened is all the mining operations moved out of China and went elsewhere. So if China would finally get off their ass and just be done with it, we could stop talking about China. China is irrelevant to an asset that only has an asset class of an asset cap of 21 million units. They're not important. How many things do you value in your life that you have, and you don't think they're going to go away, but they're illegal in China? How many of you own guns? Are you going to not have guns because China bans guns? You see how stupid that is? In fact, this entire idea that we're going to have Bitcoin get banned or cryptocurrency get banned is stupid. It's not doable. And the rich people want in on it. That's why this whole idea about, well, regulation, like, what isn't regulated? What is brokered that isn't regulated in the world today? Everything is. Everything of value is regulated one way or another when it's brokered. Now, I don't want anybody to think that I'm advocating for this or I want more regulation on Bitcoin. I don't. I would prefer there's no regulation on anything. I also know my pay grade. My opinion about this will not change what's going to happen, right? But my analysis of what's going to happen is what's actually important for me and for you. So they can regulate brokers. They can say that certain classes of people have to do KYC if they want to be involved. You know what they can't ever do? They can't ever do this. Let me make sure I don't pull the wrong thing out here. This is just a USB stick that I'm about to show you. Just a plain old USB stick. But imagine that is a nano ledger wallet or something similar. You know what you can't do? You can't do fuck all about this. You can't stop this. You can't make me register this. You can't do this. You can't ban this. And if I want to take some numbers off of this and transmit it to you, there is literally nothing they can do. And they are not stupid. They know this, and they know how valuable that it is becoming. And hence they want a piece of it. They want control of it. And they can only have so much control of it. So they use fear to make you afraid of it so that they can have more of it than you. You've been given the first chance to front run the establishment in modern history, and many of you are blowing it. I'm sorry, you are. Because I'm going to ask a question. It's on the screen right now for those of you watching the live stream. How many of you, if you wanted to, could buy illegal drugs in less than 5 minutes from your home? I'm not saying you're going to. I'm saying you could if you wanted to. Now, think about what it takes. And don't give me your shit about, well, the CIA makes money. Yeah, the CIA makes money on dope. Everybody knows that. But the CIA doesn't make money on all the fucking dope. There's plenty of cops. There's plenty of law enforcement at every level trying to put dope dealers in prison, and they have been since forever. Right? So how are we going to get dope from one point to another? So some guy in Tennessee gets some batteries and some shit and has to mix up some sort of meth in a bottle, and hopefully doesn't blow up his trailer. But he does it. So he makes the meth. Then he has to go out and physically exchange the meth with another person for some form of payment. And they have to keep this supply and physical delivery going. And you can't stop that. And you can't even stop it. For the love of God, folks, they can't even stop it in prison. If you want dope in prison, you can get dope in prison. Everything that goes in and out is searched. And you can't stop dope in prison. But you're going to stop the exchange of ones and zeros on a blockchain-driven public ledger with tremendous opportunity. Like, there's all kinds of ways to do this very, very privately. You're going to do that? No, you're not going to do that. You can't do that. And they know they can't do it. If you look at everything that's happening right now, there's only one conclusion you can come to. We're about to go for a hell of a ride. We're about to go for a hell of a ride. And the people that are telling you they're doing it themselves. This is a point where they got to this and they went, man, this isn't going to go away, is it? We better get some. Holy shit. Even if you're a millionaire, a billionaire right now, it's kind of expensive, isn't it? If we all buy it too fast at one time, don't think these people don't coordinate with what you do. Don't believe them when they say they're protecting investors. Protecting them from what? How the hell what do you want for an investor safeguard for somebody that buys an ETF that holds Bitcoin? What kind of investor safeguard do you think you need? You don't need any. The existing structure provides for public investment safeguards already. Again, all that entity need do is prove that if we say we're holding 10,000 Bitcoin, we're holding 10,000 Bitcoin. And it's easier to verify that than anything else that we put into an ETF right now. There's all kinds of bullshit you can pull to say that you own shares of stock that you don't actually own, or you control shares of stock that you're leveraged on the other side of that you don't actually control. But if a firm says we own this, where's the freaking address? Okay, we have 12 addresses it's held on. Okay, where are they? Done, audited, it's over, it already happened. Don't believe their bullshit. Don't believe the FUD. Because you know what happened? We just had a whole shitstorm of FUD. We just had a freaking FUD fest. We just had a FUD fest and a fear fest at the same time. And Bitcoin went, yeah, 30 grand. That's it. I ain't going no lower. You know why? Because supply does not meet demand. And it can't meet demand. And the only thing that can happen when you end up in that situation with basic economics is the price per unit has to go up over time. This is coming, and it's coming right now. And I'm not saying it's the final one. I'm not saying that when we run this super cycle, there won't be some big pullback. I'm not saying to go out and mortgage your kids' college fund and put it into Bitcoin. I'm saying that the opportunities continue to wane. And the time to get involved with this was a couple years ago. The next best time is now. And I don't think you're going to see a much better opportunity than you just saw again. I could be wrong. But the run-up that I'm seeing, I personally think the run-up is somewhere near $100,000. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. But the run-up, that's my gut. And I think it's going to be a hell of a psychological barrier, and I'll tell you why. There's a shitload of people out there. They're not whales. They're not sharks. They're fish, or they're big minnows. They own 20 Bitcoin. They own 30 Bitcoin. There's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people like that that are really firm hodlers. They don't sell. But one day you're going to wake up and it's going to be like, if I sell 10 Bitcoin, I have $1 million. And I still have, another 20. I can cash that, pull $1 million, put it to the side, and I'm a millionaire. Plus, I still have crypto. And I think you get a lot of selling on that run up in that mindset because, at 75 grand, what is it going to be, 15? So and I think at 50,000, there was some of that. We saw a psychological barrier, but so much crazy shit happened. We blew right through it. And it was the Elon hype. But guys, this won't go away. And those of you that insist that it's going to, I'm going to tell you one more time where you're coming from. You're angry and you're bitter because you didn't listen to people like me over the last 6, 8, 10 years. And you feel that you missed your opportunity. Okay. Keep holding your breath. Anyway, with that, we will catch up tomorrow with another one. I'll stay now and answer questions for the folks on the live stream. Brett Schultz says, my gut says 75,000 for BTC. My money is usually on Jack's gut about things that Jack talks about. 75, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. If Bitcoin ends the year at 50 grand, people will call that a failure or whatever because it didn't meet expectations. Only a retard would call $50,000 Bitcoin in 2021 a failure. Even if it doesn't go where I think it's going to. But I'm just analyzing everything that's happening, guys. I'm just looking at the demand and the growth in demand. And then the ability for the demand to be met. Right? I mean, those are the two things you look at with pricing anything. What is the demand and its growth, right? And then what is the ability to meet that demand? And it's very hard for people to get their head around because we look at Bitcoin as a technology. It's a technology. So if you have a technology, we expect that some new version of the technology will render the existing technology obsolete. But that's not how this works. Because it is its own thing. It's its own asset. And all of these attempts to make a better version have never come close to unseating it. Anything that even has come close to it market cap, like let's say Ethereum, has done so by having a gazillion shares, right? When you look at anything that's actually fundamentally limited, any other crypto asset that's limited itself, like Bitcoin at 21 million or anything even close, it can't even begin. I don't care how high it rises on the 100. It doesn't even come close. It's like comparing freaking Ask Jeeves search engine to Google today. And it's just not going to change. I've been dollar cost averaging since the 60K top. So most weeks I get it on sale. Yeah, I mean, and that's something I've been very bullish on Bitcoin, and I've always been very cautious at all-time highs. And I remember saying not that long ago when Bitcoin was like 60 grand, man, it's amazing to me how many referrals I see come through when the market's at an all-time high and how few referrals I see come through on new buyers when it's at an all-time low. And guys, that's backwards. But if you're doing the DCA thing, and it's amazing, like people will scoff on that when they recommend it for any other asset that also goes up and down. How do we know we are looking at this in an unbiased way? I'm assuming we've all made money from Bitcoin and have skin in the game. That's nothing to do with anything, Scoot. See, the whole thing with, well, you're biased because you made money, that is like a non-starter argument with me. It's a total non-starter argument because it doesn't address the fundamental underlying supply and demand curve, right? I'm not opposed to Bitcoin. I have a small amount. Can you share your thoughts on Bitcoin was created by bankers? Oh, stop, James, stop. Bitcoin was created by bankers, man. It was designed to, you know what? It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter if the NSA and the CIA are Satoshi. Right? This is like saying, well, the government made the internet. We better all turn this shit off. First of all, I don't believe that. But even if it were true, right? This question always comes from people who have been attacked with FUD and don't understand the nature of open source code. You have literally the most transparent piece of code ever written. There is no one anywhere with any ability to analyze code and look at code and say what it does and how it works that can't right now go look at every single line of code in Bitcoin. They're trying to lure us in, man. Okay, so let's even say that were true. Okay, so they've made this currency that only has 21 million units, and the big plan is to lure us into owning it and then make it the global currency. What would that do to the price? What would that do to the price? It's like sometimes people don't want to win. They want to make an excuse so they can stand on the sideline and lose and then claim they weren't lucky. It's not a logical argument. I'm not picking on you, dude. I'm not, James. I see you saying, just trying to understand. I understand. I'm not picking on you. I'm attacking this argument. See, because this argument, when the first time I heard this argument? 2012. It's all a trap, man. They're going to make a one world currency out of it. And my response is, you know what? If you're going to make a one world currency out of something with 21 million units, you know how much of it I want to own? As much as I can. So if that's the trap, I want to own Bitcoin. If that's not the trap, I want to own Bitcoin. And the same person that says that sitting on dollars while they're devalued every day by freaking billions upon billions of dollars, draining money out through inflation. It's really, again, I don't want anybody that ever asks a question when I respond this way to think I am attacking you. You are not the source of this argument, James, and some of these other arguments. Most people that bring these things up in my audience, I know you are not the source. This is a thing you've heard, and then you're trying to process it. But what I'm saying is, ask yourself what it means if it's true first. And then ask yourself, what are the odds that the literal most incompetent entity that's ever existed on the planet, the state, built something as eloquent and perfect as Bitcoin? Because a lot of people want to say that it's not perfect. No, it's absolutely perfect. The fact that it costs money to move is part of why it's perfect. That's part of why it's secure. You need security for an asset to have value and be transferable. We have additional layers being built to reduce the cost of low transaction amounts. It's a perfect solution. It is unhackable. It's been, 12, 13 years? Never been hacked. Our government can't keep supposed Russian hackers out of a pipelines network, but you think they have the capability to build Bitcoin, and that they would roll the dice of building it and letting it out into the wild for this long before they sprung whatever trap you think they're going to spring. You know, some people say, well, it's a trap to get us to use FedCoin. Take away Bitcoin, take away every cryptocurrency that's ever existed. Absolutely none of that would prevent making FedCoin. An electronic currency run by government has been a dream for at least 40 years. Right now, you might as well have a Fed coin because only 3% of all US dollars exist in bill or coin form. We already have Fed coin. Every single bank transaction, every single credit card transaction, every single electronic transaction today is traceable. Information can be subpoenaed, etc. We already have an electronic currency. What do you think you're being trapped into? We're already there. You know, well, I have cash. Okay, well, I have cash too. It's still only a very small portion. And you are fundamentally limited in what you can buy with cash. When you're talking like stacks of bills, go try to buy a car with a suitcase full of bills. Go try to buy a new car with that. Go try to buy a new house with that. See what happens. That's already a thing. Scott Scoot says most people I talk to who haven't bought yet say they've already missed their chance. You know, that's like saying I don't want money because it's worth less today than it was yesterday, in a way. You know when those people said they missed their chance? When it was $10, when it was $100, when it was $300, when it was $600, when it was $1,000, when it was $3,000, when it was $5,000, when it was $10,000. Like, so when do you like have a come to Jesus moment with yourself and realize that, first of all, it's not just about how much it's going to go up from here. Is it a stable place to hold value over time? So if Bitcoin stops its meteoric rise anytime soon and appreciates at 5% into the future consistently, how much better is it than cash? Which is right now, according to Michael Saylor, and I have no reason to doubt him, the cost of capital holding cash for institutions is in the neighborhood of 15%. I mean, really? Like what? See, the problem, and I'll tell you who these people say they missed their chance are. These are people that are never going to have money anyway because they're not thinking about building long-term wealth. Do you know what they're thinking about? I want to go make a bunch of money fast. And a lot of people made a bunch of money fast. And since I can't do what they did, and they don't even understand, most of the people that made a bunch of money fast never cashed out. Who here has Bitcoin you've held for more than 4 years? Let me see it in the comments, either side. Bitcoin you've held for more than 4 years. I don't know if Odyssey worked today. I think he's actually looking at the Odyssey stream. The float machine is to his right. You're correct. I'm looking at the float scrambler. I'm looking at float right now because Odyssey, I've actually got Odyssey and float on the same screen. And it says 14 watching, but I see no discussion on Odyssey. You must be reading off YouTube. I am Chill Anarchist. I am. Most of my comments I'm getting on this screen over here are from YouTube. Shine the light. Thank you, Jack. I already know I missed my opportunity. I had a good, decent amount back in the day, collected dust and faucet sites, and I wound up getting rid of most of it. And there's a lot of that. You know, there's people that sold their Bitcoin or bought things with their Bitcoin. I bought a car with Bitcoin. I don't resent it whatsoever. I would have been better off economically if I hadn't, but now I have the car and I still have Bitcoin. Held for 5 years, plus 4, found Bitcoin, been flipping NFTs, making a little money every day and researching blockchain things. I've had Bitcoin since 2012. Like I said, there's a lot of people that these people that say they missed their chance will say you were lucky, but you weren't lucky. You analyzed a thing, you developed an understanding of a thing, and you were willing to put your money where your mouth was and be patient. And they were not. That's not luck, right? And I don't know that that's even skill. What that is logic, reason, and discipline, right? And I guess maybe logic and reason are skills in our modern world. They're sorely lacking skills. But yeah, I mean, Hayes says NFTs make no sense to me, so more power to you. I think NFTs are a way to make money. I think there's a tremendous potential for the technology that is an NFT, but all these people that are like buying gifts that are NFT'd, I think this is the most retarded thing ever. It's as retarded as everybody remember Crypto Kitties. It's retarded. But if you want to play that game and you can make money off it, make money and pour it into something solid like Bitcoin. Really. And I am very bullish on Bitcoin. Don't think I'm not bullish on some other things. I am still highly bullish on Ethereum. I think that we will end up with Ethereum 2.0. And I think at that point, Ethereum lands somewhere really quickly between $5,000 and $10,000. I really do. Absolutely. Anyway, guys, I need to go. I need to get the show done for the day. Hacker Nick says I bought in about 5K. Screwed up selling at 12K. Facepalm. I do want to give people a little bit of grace who sell their Bitcoin or sell their cryptocurrency or whatever. But there is another option. People buy in, it goes way up. They're like, wow, that's more money I've ever had in my life. And then they sell out. And then you have this continued drive upward. If you feel the need to sell, no one said you had to sell everything. Maybe you sell half. But I'll tell you, you're not alone in making bad sell decisions. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was like one of the biggest Bitcoin investors in the world. And when Bitcoin hit $25,000 during this cycle, do you know what he did? He sold half his Bitcoin. And he said it wasn't because he didn't believe in Bitcoin anymore. On the contrary, he wanted more Bitcoin. So he was going to wait for it to come back down and then buy it back so he'd have more Bitcoin. How's that worked out? I don't know if you've paid attention. We got down in like $28,000, $29,000 range. But that 25 grand he sold at, just because it seemed like this is a guy with a bunch of money. He got lucky, right? Didn't make any sense. But you know what he didn't do? He didn't sell all his Bitcoin. He sold half. So, that's hedging against whether or not you've reached the top or not. So at least consider that. Anyway, guys, I will catch up with you later. Like I said, I got to get the podcast done for today as well.